All right, welcome to today's podcast with my special guest, David Minear with Construction Monitor. And today we'll be talking about how David took his business, applied the work the system method, and hopefully mine a few nuggets of gold, find out some ideas about what he did, how he moved from being really focused in the business to be more focused on the business. And so David, thanks for being here. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Josh,
Okay.
and happy to be here with you.
Okay, well, very good. So let me start off with just a question to get some context around your entrepreneurial story. So, what is your business? How did you get into it? What does it do? Where are you located? Things like that.
Sure. So, actually, this is a business that my father started back in 1989. He was a commercial architect and knew the construction industry. And then, actually, it's a long story, but he had an operation on his eyes that didn't go so well, and he wasn't able to do that anymore. So he started this business and collecting builder permit information. And at about that same time, as I graduated high school, I began to help him with the business, and then we were partners in that business up until 2014 when I bought the business from him. He's still around and consults and helps, but I'm the owner of the business now, and it's been an interesting experience. And so, along with collecting building permit information across the country, that information is targeted sales leads for construction industry suppliers, and it's also a unique data source for providing valuable insights into the construction industry and the broader economy of the U.S. And so that's specifically what we do, and how I kind of came into it so many years ago.
So so 3 decades or so, right?
Yes, almost
Wow.
three
Okay, a long
decades.
time. So a lot of people might not know this, but a lot of folks who get attracted to this work the system method have family businesses and have multi-generational family businesses. And I think that the continuity of what made it great previously to innovating the future and how to get past those generations is a big part of at least the work that I get to do. So then also, in case people didn't catch us, this is a national company, right? So you're all across the country, but based in Utah, right?
Yes, we are based in Utah.
And then selling leads to people in construction through a database, through software. But you have a physical office, correct?
Yeah, we do. We have two physical offices, and we do have quite a few remote, both independent contractors and employees that work for us throughout the country.
Mhm. Okay, very good. So you hear about this idea, work the system. I'm not really sure where you heard about it. And what was your business like when you first heard about Sam's book?
So we had a pretty good business. We're a good company with some great people doing their best to help our customers succeed. We just it was so much up to the individual, and we had a lot of things we did varied from time to time. And thank goodness we had good people, because there was so much that it's almost like just cross my fingers and hope that it worked out, and it usually did. And we do have a pretty good business with a great product that in a lot of ways sells itself, but it just was becoming, especially once I bought the business from my dad and was more more heavily involved in every aspect of the business, it became overwhelming. And also, as I wanted to grow the business beyond where it was after 24 years when I bought it, it needed a little more organization. It was just there's too much going on for me to keep track of myself and be able to manage it the way that me and my dad had together done
Mm-hmm.
previously.
Yeah, I remember, and full disclosure, I've been out to David's location there in Utah a couple of times, and I was amazed that you were able to keep everything together with the amount of folks you had and the complexity of your business without a lot of the structure in place. It was amazing, and that's a testament to your people and the experience. And I think a lot of times companies that have been around for that many decades, they have so much historical knowledge through their people that some of it they have to shed, and then some of it they have to replace. But it's hard to replace the old habits because you've been doing it the same way for so long without something more firm and structured. Um,
Yeah, we definitely, and that was, Josh, when you started coming on site and helping us with this program, I think that was one of the greatest benefits, was that you were able to create the buy-in to the program, and to uh, not so much a complete change, but a different way, a more organized way of doing things, which I tried over the years a couple times, and I hadn't been able to do it. And so it's not easy. introducing change into organizations.
Uh, yeah. People like the idea of change, but changing is hard. And
It
you
is
guys did a
hard.
great job with it. I mean, a really good job with it. It's very difficult. Well, let's go through and let's talk about the transformation. So you actually put some systems in place and strategy and principles. What was that like putting those things into your business? I mean, did your team like it? How do they respond?
So I think at first there was, we'd had some, in some other areas, some in more specific areas, we'd had consultants come in, and there was always a big kickback, a big like, my way is better than yours. They don't know my business type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But when you came, Josh, and both the way you did it and the knowledge that you had, and my staff could tell that you were qualified, and it created a sense that, this could work. And I think they could see the possibility of what was going to happen and how it could make our business better. And then as we started implementing those, and you followed up between the on-sites over the phone and helped us along, the staff, my managers especially, and then on down through the organization, was able to see the just the efficiencies that it was going to create, that everybody was going to be able to focus more on improvement instead of just putting out fires, if that makes sense. It really did create a sense of, this is pretty good, we can do this, and this is going to make everything better. This is going to help me do my job better. This is going to help my associates do their jobs better. And we're going to be able to it's hard to explain the frame of mind that you get into when you think, I can actually work on improvement, and this is everybody on the team. I can actually work on improvement instead of having to redo everything every time because of the disorganization or the lack of systems that we had before.
Yeah, and I think that's. I'm glad you're being honest about that. Yeah, most people, organizations, and I've been to probably about 100 on-site consulting gigs like this, and they see someone from the outside come in, and they're usually not that excited about it,
Yeah.
which is fine. I understand. I mean, certainly I wouldn't want to be excited about someone else coming in to say, this is how you should do things. My dad, maybe I told you this, my dad's a business owner, and same with my father-in-law, and neither one of them are big fans of consultants. And so really what I try to do is help, I mean, in your case, help you all build the strategy together, the principles together, the procedures together. And I think a big part of why no one wants to work on it is because they know it's going to fail if they do it alone. So if one of your employees says, I've got a good idea, they know it's going to fail in isolation. But once, you as the leader, which you did a great job with this, David, once you set a direction and you commit to sticking to it, then everyone does feel like, actually, I know I can trust everyone else to do their part because I'm going to do my part. And then it's more exciting to build on something as opposed to, well, I know no one else is going to do it, so I'm just going to just forget about this. And your team really did buy in together, which was, key to success.
Yeah, and it worked well. And I got to say, though, it's so much of it, I had really tried, I'd made a big push to do this on my own, just based on a few conferences that I'd attended and some other books that I'd read before I read Sam's book. And I tried one time really good and a second time not so much. And I just got zero traction. And I think the big thing is I wasn't confident enough in the process. And I mean, I didn't even know how to structure it to where I could, create the buy-in that you were able to get when you brought the knowledge that you had into the organization from the work, the systems. And so I definitely got to see, what didn't work and then how well it did work when you came in, and yeah, the way the team accepted it and bought in and just jumped on board, excited even.
Well, that's good. That's good. Well, so let's talk about a detail. So you have put some systems in place, obviously documented a few things. Can you think of any that, made an impact in terms of how you deal with your customers, or maybe the speed at which you're doing it, or the quality, or reduced fires? Any examples come to mind?
Yeah, I have one, and this is my favorite example that, I mean, there's so many, but probably my favorite one was a procedure that we created for our data entry contractors. We have, we kind of have a floating, they come and go so quickly. And so we're always hiring and training data entry contractors, where we enter information from about 35,000 building permits per week. That requires a lot of data entry work. And it used to be a constant struggle for us, not at all scalable to hire and train these data entry contractors. And it just varied wildly depending on the trainer and their workload. And the training was mostly a one-on-one affair between the contractor and the trainer. And so hiring all these, can't keep up. We can't get enough data entry people doing it one-on-one. But once we created a procedure that specifically defined the process, and this was the greatest example to me, but now we can have an unlimited number. We created the procedure, and once we had that process specifically defined, we were able to add technology to that to match the procedure, and now we can have an unlimited number of new data entry contractors training at the same time, and they go at a speed that works for them. They're not waiting for the trainer to try and remember the best way and fix it and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We have a specific procedure for the training, what they need to learn and things they need to go through to do the training, and technology behind it to give them samples and practice permits and things like that. And so that's my favorite one that I like to talk to, because it's such an easy process. And before, I was managing that, hiring it, trying to get them into the training program and everything. And now I have one of my managers, and he doesn't even have to manage it because it runs almost, automatically by itself, because it's defined on paper, and anybody in the process can just follow that procedure. That's my favorite example. One of many, but my favorite.
Yeah. Well, that one, probably because you were involved so much before, it was sucking the life out of you.
And now I never do anything with it. We just have these new data entry starting all the time, and they're more productive, they're better, and they stay longer because the process trains them, and they either get out quick because they know exactly it doesn't work for them, or they stay longer because it's so fine-tuned.
Huh. Well, that's cool. Well, so, and that's a core part of your business, is bringing on folks, the labor, training them, having them do the work. And yeah, data entry, it's tough to find folks to do that in the way that you do it in your business. And it's really important. And it's challenging. And I think that hopefully what people listening to this get is that every business has challenges. And that was a big one for your industry. It doesn't mean you shy away from them or think, well, so it's because it's so hard, I have to be involved as an owner. But if you can figure out a way to systemize it, which you did, that's going to give you a huge advantage over the competition, because they're dealing with the same problems. They're dealing with hiring issues just like you are. So why not, build a better mousetrap? And that took you a while to build, right? That wasn't like do it in an afternoon. That took some time, some planning, some investments, some
It did.
Yeah.
And and the thing is, I had, before Josh, he came and helped us get everything streamlined. It was kind of like some of this stuff was so overwhelming and complicated. It was like, it was easy for me to ignore it and just hope it works out. And it kind of would sometimes, but it wasn't getting better. And sometimes it wouldn't work out. And that's just not a way to run a business. That's the kind of thing that'll keep you up at night and in here putting out fires every single day. And so, yeah, that's why I love to see these systems in place, and it just makes a world of difference. It does.
Well, that, and I think and obviously people don't know this, but you were really involved before, but now, we've talked about your organizational chart and getting folks involved. You're able to kind of be a one step above a lot of those day-to-day things now. So what has that allowed you to work on that you couldn't work on before in your business?
Yeah, so I was so involved. Every little thing almost had to go through me. And since we've created these systems and procedures and everything's organized, and on top of that, Josh, as you came and discussed hiring practices and stuff with us, we've also added to our staff some great team members that are completely capable of not only maintaining and improving the systems, but in handling any issues that we have. And so what it's allowed me to do is it's freed me up to really, they're not dependent on me, and me being away from the office is not a problem at all. They run just great when I'm not here, but I'm also able to be here and focus more on strategy. Finances is something I've always been weak in, and I've learned more about those and be able to create budgets and to look forward and to see where we're going to be, down the road. And extra projects, I've been able to discuss and start some extra projects, things that are going to add, extra revenue streams and help our bottom line. And so those are the kind of things that we're just always missed, because those are hard sometimes to sit down and make yourself focus and follow through on those. And that's what I'm able to do now, which before that I never got to that point because I couldn't put out the fires fast enough and all of them in a day.
So what about your team? Okay, so they're involved now. Are they kind of keeping, have they changed their way of thinking? Are they thinking more about the systematic way of doing things, or are you still involved in that? Or how's that working?
No, so that's it's been fun, and I like to use my lead developer that's kind of in charge of our IT team,
Mhm.
and he's a great example because he has jumped completely on board, and now everything that they do, and we're working on some technologies
Mhm.
where we have some interns, working on some OCR stuff. And anyways, he's got everything procedurized, and he doesn't get mad, but he's very firm that if they have a question, they need to check the procedure first, and that's just saved him. He's on board more than anybody because he just loves the fact that he creates those procedures and updates them as needed. And so most of the time, 90% of the time, when we bring on a new intern or another full-time developer, everything they need to know is in those procedures, and it saves him from having to answer the same questions over and over and over. So even in the technically challenging world of development, software development and stuff, we've really been able to utilize that, and I've seen it really improve his department and him as a leader because he always goes to what he knows works best, which is specified in the procedures,
Huh.
and and encourages his staff to do the same.
That's funny. I didn't expect that because, and I won't, share names or details, but he was the guy that was fighting it the most at the beginning.
Yeah, yeah, he didn't think it would work, and it's like
Yeah.
it's tough to get developers to do documentation, and this is just
Yeah.
more documentation. But I see him updating, especially this one procedure that our interns are always referencing.
Mhm.
Whenever they have to ask a question, if they ask a question, I almost always see that reflected in the procedure, like immediately after, and it's just amazing to watch. And that's without any intervention from me. And they get that in there, and it helps them, and it just makes the process of moving along. And of course, interns change frequently,
Mhm.
and they get right back up to speed with those procedures without taking a lot of the time of our full-time staff.
Wow. Well, I'm glad to hear that because I, um, at the beginning you get the strategy and everyone, kind of rolls their eyes like, well, okay, we get it. And then eventually they start buying and then they do the work. And you guys did a lot of work. You put a lot of systems together. And then it's about maintaining it. I'm glad that he's maintaining it because it sounds like things are just gotten better and better and better with time. And it is funny because I'm thinking of my other clients and it is a lot of times the one who's most against it once they see the results, they end up being the one most for it.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know why that is.
yeah,
maybe
yeah.
there's testing you and me to see if we're really going to be serious about it or have the backbone. I don't
Well,
know.
that's their nature. They do. They want to, and
Yeah.
that's there's some good qualities in that. They really want to make sure something works. And he pushed and pushed against it, kind of. But then when it clicked in a big way. And we've seen that throughout the organization. That it just kind of you get people like that in one part of the organization that flows over, and other people see the benefits and the value and the excitement and the savings and time of having to retrain and re-answer questions, and everybody gets on board. It just keeps on rolling for us, and it gets stronger and stronger.
That's good. That's good. Well, you all put a lot of hard work into it. It wasn't like you just, you know, snap it happened. I mean, there was,
No, it was painful. I mean,
yeah.
it was, and it's even, it's still, you got to get yourself, and we get more and more into it, but you got to get yourself to refer to those procedures and those systems, because if you
Yeah.
don't, you get further and further away from them. But the more you go back to them, the better it is, because then you're working on the improvements, and that's where you see your business get better, and you can
Uh-huh.
see the progression through the organized documentation of the systems and procedures that we have.
So what other wins? So we have the teams getting to get involved. They're going a little bit faster, less mistakes. Is it helping in terms of sales or sales going up or anything else? But benefiting.
Yeah, so we are. So we've done a few different strategies to help increase revenue,
Mm-hmm.
and we've been hiring salespeople. Our sales team has been increasing. We also introduced some well thought out price increases and some other strategies like that. Some additional add-on products to what we're currently selling, some variations of the information that we sell, and all of that has contributed to, since I think Josh, you came the first time, we've had over a 25% growth in revenue. We've also hired heavily, and our staff has grown, and so it's given us the ability to not only hire. One thing I really like is we've been able to hire good people more wisely. We've done better with our hiring processes and brought on some great people, but it's given us the ability to see clearly what we need, where the gaps are in our qualifications, in our talent, and be able to specifically hire to where we need it and where we can most efficiently use them. Because hiring is it costs. I mean, people are a big source of the money we spend around here, and probably the best source, because they're great. And now we know where to put them, put them where they fit and where they thrive, and it works out well.
Wow, I didn't realize it was that. I knew it went up a little bit, but for a multi-million-dollar organization, 25% increase that's a lot to handle.
Yeah, and we hope to see it go up more than that this year. We're working on some big accounts. I mean, so one of the things too I wanted to say about the work that you've done with us, Josh, and work the systems is it has put in place, where we've increased our coverage area and we've increased our staff to a point where we can handle some of these bigger accounts now. So we're talking to bigger companies, and we're able to provide a more nationwide service now as we try and reach our goals for coverage across the country. And we've come across some big accounts and big deals that we're working on that could really even beyond the 15 to 25% range into some bigger growth. And so it's exciting.
Yeah, well, I'm really excited for you. Well, I don't want to take any more of your time, David. I really appreciate you kind of sharing the road. There's some bumps along the way, but the road, and what really being focused, having that clear strategy, getting your team to buy in and building those systems has done. Hopefully, those listening, it's a story that can be inspirational and also show you that even if your company's been around for decades, and in your case is a good company, good people, and had most things figured out, there's still opportunity, right? 'Cause there's still opportunity to make some major changes once you make these put this infrastructure in place to grow the business, and that's pretty exciting to see after that many years, kind of explosive growth. So any final advice you give someone who's thinking about systemizing their business, or they're thinking about taking this methodology and going for it? What advice would you give an entrepreneur?
All I can say is just from experience what worked for me. I'm just thankful that I came across worked the systems and read Sam's book. I'd read other books from other authors, and I knew the importance of systems. And I don't know why it was that Sam's book hit a chord just enough. And then as I researched that and had the opportunity to meet you, Josh, and to talk to you and see if it would be a good fit, and it turned out to be a great fit. And just having you help and come improve our businesses by creating systems and training us in general business best practices was really, it's made a difference to my company. It's put us in a place where we're not only growing, but we have more potential for more growth as we continue and to do our best. And Josh, I mean, you've skillfully got my entire team on board and made a better leader out of my managers and myself in the process. And I think that came as I look back and still look back, and I talk to you regularly now, which is important to me because you hold me accountable and you held us all accountable. And that's, if I'm not being held accountable, it's easy for me to, I mean, I got the shortest focus attention span of anybody in the world, I swear. But we're a better company that's grown in size and revenue because of the expertise and knowledge that you brought to us. And I just want to thank you and Sam and the whole system that you've created. And all I can say is it was a big step for us having you come here, Josh, but it's been one of the best decisions we've made and put us in just a better place where I'm excited about the future of this company. And I think if you talk to anybody on my team, they would say the same thing, that things are exciting around here and we're in a better place than we've ever been.
Well, good. Well, David, appreciate the kind words. And yeah, I agree. It's been really enjoy working with you as well. And looking forward to big things. And I know next year, based on what we've been talking about, 25% growth, it should be bigger. It should be bigger in the next couple of years.
I think it will be. I really think it will be.
All right. Well, thanks again for the interview. Thanks for everyone listening, and catch us next time on another podcast.
All right. Thanks, Josh.